Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have no idea how long I came back, but yeah, hello. So you must have read the title of the video of what we are going to talk about, and let's get into it. Game start. So in this video we're going to talk about mermaids. Of course, we have heard about mermaids in like a lot of films or sailor journals or folklore. We have heard about a lot. It's a half human, half fish creature. It sounds impossible, yes, but we have heard it a lot, and it's have been in our culture for a lot. Like in pop culture, there have been references to mermaids in movies like Disney Ariel, even though it's unrealistic. Or so people presume it's unrealistic. So today we are gonna try to make sense of it, but biologically, if you could evolutionary and biologically make something like a creature similar to mermaids, and yeah, if it's only just fairy tale mythical creature, or if we can biologically evolve into something like that, and yeah, we're gonna talk about that today. So for anybody who doesn't know what mermaids are, even though I think everybody knows what mermaids are, but yeah, so if you don't know, mermaids have an upper body of a human, so the torso, the head and the arms, and they have a lower body containing scales and tail, fins and stuff like a fish. And in evolutionary biology, you can kind of think they are a blend of two distinct anatomical structures which come from different branches of life. So it's like connecting two different branches of tree, like Lego pieces, which is sort of impossible. But yeah, but the challenges is that fishes are ectothermic vertebrates, so they have gills, scales and an external reproduction system, while humans are endothermic mammals, so they have lungs, warm blooded systems. So it's kind of difficult. Humans and mammals in general are made so that they function on land. But of course, there have been examples like whales or dolphins who live in the ocean. So yeah, it's not exactly impossible, but it's not exactly how we imagine it would be, because they are also mammals, but they live in the ocean, but they do not have the same description. They do not have the same image of a mermaid that we imagine. So yeah, it's not it cannot exist, but that's why we're not giving up. We will make it sense, make it make sense kind of thing. Yeah, biologically we will try to think how it could be possible, how it won't be how we imagine it to be. Like the Ariel mermaid, the Disney Ariel mermaid, it wouldn't be the same way. And how it won't be the same way is what we're going to talk about. So in evolution, it's not been yes, it's surprise for us, of course, but there have been many times that animals on the land have returned to the ocean, and of course the example is whales. This process is called secondary adaptations, where because of natural natural selection, more they kind of develop ways to survive underwater or in the ocean. So with the example of whales, their ancestors were four-legged mammals who walked on land around 50 million years ago, which is a long time, really long time. But over time they lost their hind limbs, they developed flappers. They also shifted their nostrils to form a blowhole, which we of course have seen, and build an immense lung capacity in underwater communication. So as they were living actively underwater, of course they had to communicate with each other. So they have developed a system to communicate underwater, and also develop an immense lung capacity, because they cannot totally and forever just live underwater. They have to come to the surface to kind of breathe. So yeah, there are other examples of mammals who have from land to adapted to live in the sea or oceans, which are manatees, which were mistaken by Christopher Columbus of being mermaids, and he kind of called them ugly. Yeah, he described in his he described them as they are not as beautiful as they are painted. Yeah, so that's he kind of like thought they were mermaids because people had this idea of mermaids. It was like the theory that people think of something and they see it everywhere. Like if you constantly think of something, like yeah, that thing exists, you'll like see it everywhere even though it doesn't exist. And that's what happened with Christopher Columbus. He kind of mistook like manatees for being mermaids. And yeah, there's also manatees are members of the order. If you know like the order of naming animals and stuff, they are part of the order Sirenia, which is a biological name for mermaids. Yeah, we made a name for mermaids even though mermaids don't exist. But I think because of the fact that these mammals are like similar to the concept of mermaids, they kind of named it that way. So yeah. So these manatees and all are herbivores, which like they don't eat other animals, they eat grass or other stuff. Yeah. So these are herbivores and they have paddle-like tails. They have flappered limbs. They have large lungs, of course, and they are constant. They have a constant underwater life. Yeah, they have already like developed to live underwater. Most of the time they do not like come to the surface. They just like come to the surface like breathe, but that's it. So the question here is that like people believe that they saw mermaids even though they weren't mermaids, and now they have this idea of mermaids. So the question here stands is that if like we could follow the same path, if humans follow some natural selection method or something, we could follow the same paths as like the whales and other stuff did like millions of years ago. And maybe evolution can, like if evolution can create the image we have of the mythical creatures mermaids, which is sort of impossible, but we will see that. So the theory that humans could like evolve to live underwater has been around, like the same way like people have thought like if whales and other mammals have evolved to live in underwater, we could also possibly, due to natural selection and circumstances that arise for us to live underwater, we could live underwater. So like imagine like a future where humans would have to live under submerged habitats. So like the sea levels are rising, which they are already rising, but like a lot more than they are already rising. But yeah, we would have flooded cities and underwater colonies and stuff. So over like the thousands of years, humans will have to face an environment where they have to face like the pressure to like evolve towards aquatic traits, which are like larger lung capacities and tails and stuff. So what would the traits be like if we are talking about like natural selection? If like humans did evolve to like live underwater, what would be the traits that humans would have through natural selection that would give them a benefit to like live under aquatic environments? So there are of course like webbed fingers and toes, which are like skin here. Like it would be like skin here. I will put an image. So it would be that. Then there will be thicker fat layers. So of course for insulation due to like the temperatures in ocean, which are a lot colder than here, and we cannot have hair underwater. So we would have thicker fat deposits in our skin. So like a thicker fat layer for insulation and stuff. So the thermal regulation in our body like functions because we are warm blooded also. So yeah, it would be like similar to seals. If you have seen seals, yeah, we would be like that, fat deposits. So yeah, we would also have like lung capacity, larger lung capacity, and spleens. So for more storage of oxygen if we are underwater for longer times. We would also have reduced hair because less drag in the water, because there is no actual need of hair in water. So yeah, there will be that. We will have more flexible rib cages because of the pressure of water. So as we go like deeper in water, the pressure increases. So to handle the pressure, we would have a flexible rib cage. And we would also have like a second eyelid like a membrane so that we could have vision underwater, because with these we can't, yeah, we can't do that. So we will have like a secondary eyelid, like many mammals have who live underwater, to like see underwater. And this has already been visible. So there's a community of people in Southeast Asia which are called Bajau people. Bajau people. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But it's called Bajau, I think. Okay, so they have genetically developed larger spleens to support longer breath holding during dives, according to 2018 journal study. So this is human evolution like in real time. So they have like larger spleens, so like supposedly like a normal human being who's not been genetically like developed like these people but might like hold their breath for like 1 minute max, but these people can hold up to like 5, 6, 8 minutes, something like that, depending how much, of course, they have practice into it and how much they have like developed that skill. Even though if you have something genetically, but if you don't use that trait much, the ability to use it over time, you lose the ability. That's what. So if you're like continuously like diving in water and stuff, of course you can like develop it. So yeah, it's not like it's like imaginary. It's not like it cannot happen, because this has been like proven to be in real time. So of course it would be messy, it will be biological, it won't be the same way as Disney shows it, like in Ariel movie, it will be like, it won't be that magical, it will be a bit messy, it would take like millions of years, yeah, we would not be alive, but yeah, millions of years to actually theoretically we could prove and evolve something vaguely like mermaids, but it will more have an image of like dolphins. If you have seen dolphins, you more be like dolphins instead of what we have, like the image which we have like painted in folklores and all. Yeah, we won't be that. So of course, with the classic image we have of mermaids, there are also like biological challenges of that, because if you have seen Disney Ariel or any like movies that contain mermaids, you have seen they look more human, just like the tail, but they look very very humans than what we would imagine biologically evolving. Given the fact that we have seen whales and dolphins, they do not look like humans, they do not look like anything. So the problems with that are the tail problems. If you have seen fishes, the tail moves side by side, so like this. Yeah, this is a fish now. Yeah, this is a fish. So their tails move like that. But with like dolphins or whales, their tails move like this, up and down. Yeah, this is a dolphin. So given the fact that we have seen mermaids move their tails up and down, so it shows that they have a mammal origin instead of like a fish origins. And with the fact that they have a mammal origin, they do not have gills, so they do not like, they can't survive underwater like for longer times, or even like forever. They can survive longer times, but they would have to like come to the surface to like breathe, because they would have lungs. Mermaids are usually shown with lungs, because with the typical image you have of mermaids, they haven't like shown any like part or any area where they have like gills. Okay, so they would have to constantly come up to the surface to breathe like the whales and stuff. And of course they cannot, like, if you think like maybe evolution would like happen and we would develop gills and stuff, it won't happen, because gills are like a really different and like completely like the opposite system for respiration, and it won't be possible. It's like sort of impossible. There's also thermal regulation, so of course the ocean is cold, we all know that, and without fat or fur the human body will freeze, we will be hypothermia and we will just die by freezing. So mermaids would need like a thick layer of insulating tissue which is fat, like whales or like seals and stuff. So yeah, we won't be skinny like the images we have, and we won't have a waistline. Yeah, we won't be skinny and have a waistline. That's it. we would be like seals. And of course, given the fact that we are warm-blooded mammals, we would have to maintain our metabolism given we are warm-blooded animals, and we would like require a lot of calorie intake. So like the level of what an orca would eat. If you know an orca killer whale, yeah, check it up how much they eat. We would have to eat that much to like maintain our metabolism underwater. So that's like the few of challenges we could face biologically if we were to have like the typical mermaid like image we imagine. So given the fact that we haven't seen anything like mermaids, like the typical image we have of the mermaids, and also we have like established that what are the challenges for developing and evolving something like the typical mermaid we see in like Disney movies and stuff. So people have come up with a theory that mermaids are like aliens. It's like a 50-50 theory, because like you can also imagine them of being aliens, but you can also imagine of them living like deep sea creatures. Like how, if anybody has seen deep sea creatures, they are weird. They have weird features that you won't see with other animals around the earth, like bioluminescent skin. They glow in the dark. So yeah, with that, people like, if anybody has heard, we have explored the ocean like 5 to 7 something percent, so we don't know exactly like from every single area that yes, mermaids won't exist and don't exist. So there's like people who say that mermaids exist in like deeper parts of the oceans, while other people think they are like aliens and maybe they were on Earth and we saw them and included them in the folklore. And in the sailor journals and all the people who have seen mermaids and died by mermaids, yeah, the sirens part, if you know the folklore, how sirens drag sailors into the ocean and kill them. So yeah, they might be aliens according to some people. But yes, there has been like, this is like weird. They would have to change like the whole chemical rules. If you know, we are carbon-based life, but there's also the theory of silicon-based life. I think I want to talk about silicon-based life. We'll talk about silicon-based life later. But yes, if we had like silicon-based life instead of carbon, and if the whole chemical composition was different, then maybe biology would be like it will look totally like an alien, but it would be like strangely familiar, because we already have this image of a mermaid. So even if it was alien, we wouldn't know it, because we kind of have some familiarity with it because of the folklore and all the stories about it. So yeah. So after this long time of like talking and trying to establish the facts that like how mermaids can or cannot be real biologically, I would say the classic mermaid, like the flowing red hair and the sparkling tails, all the jewels and the slim waist and blah blah blah, would not exactly possibly exist. It won't. But if you're talking about a humanoid marine animal, like a humanoid marine mammal, it's possible that through like millions and millions of years of evolution, we could develop to like adapt underwater and we could like live underwater. But it's not like totally out of question. I don't think we would be under circumstances that we would have to adapt to live underwater, unless we all drown, like the whole city, the continents just drown and we have no options. But anyway, I don't really think if the circumstances would arrive, but it's not exactly out of question biologically. And yes, this is the end of the video. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and comment down below if you evolved to like live underwater. Would you like live underwater? Would you like still live on land? And if there are any mythical creature you would want me to decode, like biologically, if they could or could not exist biologically, please comment it down below. And this is Nia Vibes, and I will see you guys later.